Hi, I'm Tony Hannity's and you're watching Lazy Tech TV. Okay, so today we are going to take a look at a Windows Phone 8 device. It's actually the Samsung Native SE. Now usually I review Android devices from the Galaxies to LGs to all the HTC ones, and they've had many ones. But I want to take a little bit of a different look at an up-and-coming operating system. So this is a look at Windows Phone 8.1 by an Android user. Specifically, the Samsung Native SE is exclusive to Verizon Wireless here in the United States and currently goes for $99.99 on a 2-year contract. Now, right off the bat, it kind of looks like a Galaxy S4, which is what really brought my attention to it. But, of course, it is running Microsoft's version of their mobile operating system, Windows Phone 8. Now, when it comes to the specifications of it, we're looking at a 5-inch 1080p display, 2.3 quad-core Qualcomm processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigabytes of internal storage, but you can expand it with a micro SD for an additional 64 gigs, a 13 megapixel rear shooter, and a 2 megapixel front shooter, 2600 milliamp battery, and Bluetooth 3.0. And the Bluetooth is very important, if you will, as we'll discuss later on. And of course, it does take advantage of an up-and-coming technology, NFC. Now this, as I mentioned, does ship with Windows Phone 8. However, I took advantage of the developer preview to upgrade to Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. And I've got to tell you, that's really where the whole conversation between Windows Phone and Android becomes clearer. With Microsoft's ecosystem, you get a live.com account. And actually, it's an Outlook account or an MSN account. I mean, you can choose any extension of email that you want. 7 gigabytes of free OneDrive storage. You also get all the other Microsoft applications, which we'll go into further later on. But you don't get a few things that you might already be used to as an Android user. Google Maps, Google Voice, Google Hangouts, Google+, Google Play Music, Play Video, Play Books, and most importantly, for a lot of you guys, YouTube. What you do get is Bing, which is a very good alternative to Google as a search engine. In regards to Google Maps, you don't get that, obviously, but you can choose from either Bing Maps or even Here Maps from Nokia. You don't get Hangouts, but a lot of people are on Facebook, so you can use either WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook, you can use Facebook Messenger, or if you do have people that do use Windows Phone, they have a really cool function called Rooms. Rooms is kind of like a chat room, but what you can do in Rooms is within that space you can share documents, files, other video, and you can collaborate on projects within a chat room, and obviously you can call them or do a video chat subsequently. But it's a really nice feature that currently on the likes of iOS and Android, you just don't have. So when it comes to media applications, you do get Xbox Music, Xbox Video, and Xbox Books. So you can download books, you can download music, you can rent the music, you can stream the music, you can rent the videos, you can buy the videos, you can upload your own videos. Again, it's very similar to the experience that you would have on Android. When it comes to the app comparison, this is part of the argument where people say, oh, well, it's a beautiful phone, but there's no apps. If you want to compare the two application centers, we're looking at over 1 million apps on Android and just a little over 300,000 apps on Windows Phone. So with that being said, Windows Phone does have a lot to catch up on. However, some AAA developers are starting to put their money on development for Windows Phone, especially since the last Build conference where they announced things like universal apps. So we're looking at the likes of Facebook, Foursquare, Swarm, Instagram, which is Facebook. You also have Google Search, which is weird. You also have My Fitness app, Fitbit, and I do want to touch on Fitbit. These wearable things that we are starting to have these days take advantage of Bluetooth 4.0 LE. This phone has Bluetooth 3.0. So unfortunately, when I bought my Fitbit, I was all excited to use it, as Fitbit is one of the only wearable trackers that you can get for Windows Phone, but this phone can't support that. So that's just something to take into account as you're looking at different phones. If you are planning on getting some sort of wearables, whether it be a Fitbit or like a watch of some sort, but that's another story. Other applications obviously include Slacker, Pandora, Netflix, Hulu. I mean, the list goes on. When it comes down to the argument is really games. So there are new things that are available on Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1 that I truly, really like. Well, first of all, Windows Phone 8 has a really nice installer program that with the USB cable, you just plug this into a Windows 8 machine and it will automatically install the program that allows you to transfer programs from one device to another. And from an Android standpoint, you can do that over the air, but it is kind of nice to have that hardwired and very seamless program to use on a daily basis if you so choose to use that. So another really cool feature of Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1 is the live tiles. Now live tiles aren't new. I mean, they're going to be on Windows Phone 8, Windows 8, Windows Phone 8.1, but I really want to emphasize from an Android user standpoint, they are very similar to widgets. Widgets are a little bit more advanced in that if you have a music widget, you can pause, play, back and forward from the widget itself without having to go into it. But the nice thing about live tiles is that when it comes to glanceable updates, that's where they really shine. So they also did another feature where you can create folders. So something as simple as a social folder has all my social applications in there, and even when I open up the social folder, the live tiles of those apps still continue to run. Another characteristic of note is that you can actually uninstall certain applications that already come pre-installed on the phone. When it comes to Android, especially with certain carriers, there are, let's say, apps or software that come on the phone and you're not able to uninstall them even if you don't use them. Now, when I first heard about Cortana, I immediately thought, okay, this is another Google Now clone, it's copying Siri, whatever the case may be. This is a digital assistant and they have developed it very well. Similar to Google Now, you can activate Cortana and it gives you a stream of information related to you. News, weather, sports scores. But the fact of the matter is, it is still in beta and it has a few bugs in it when it comes to recognizing your voice and even some of the things that you're asking it. For example, on my Android device, I can say to Google Now, how long is the Golden Gate Bridge? And it will actually tell me the span of the Golden Gate Bridge. Has a length of 8,980 feet. I ask Cortana, and it tells me how long it will take me to get to the Golden Gate Bridge. So that's just how things are, obviously, in the early days of the Cortana operating system. For what it's worth, I have a lot of faith in it. The last feature to Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1 that I would use is Kids Korner. Now, what is that, might you say? Kids Korner is a separate portal on the phone that allows your kids to go to that have specific apps that you have set for them, and they don't go into your email, your contact list. They don't have to surf the web. In fact, you could not even have an internet browser in there. So how do you get the Kids Korner? Well, first of all, you turn on the phone. You just swipe to the left. It says Kids Korner, swipe up, and there you go. These are the apps that I have designated for my 2-year-old daughter. And she can play with these as much as she likes. When she opens up an app, goes into the game, whatever it is, she can hit the actual home button and it'll bring her back to the Kids Korner. She can hit the back button and it'll bring her back to the Kids Korner. So how does she get out of this to get onto the standard side? Well, you have to turn it off and then you turn it back on and then it goes back to the standard lock screen and then you can swipe up and there you are. Now that's obviously very simple, but what it has you do is actually have a password. So if she does turn it off and on, she's going to be met with the password, so she still can't access my information. So Kids Korner, for me, is awesome and it's very, very helpful. If you're not a parent, at least not yet, you might not care about it so much, but I gotta tell you, it is very handy and I'm glad that Microsoft has implemented that into Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. So those are the things I really like with Windows Phone 8. And it's not just 8.1 Update 1, it's just Windows Phone. I mean, those are the features I really use for the past 3 weeks that using this phone. However, as an Android user, there are some times where I pull out my Android phone, and the reason is there's a few things that I do miss on Android. Now, there's not much, I gotta say. Like I said, the apps are fine. Almost every single app that I use on Android is available for Windows Phone. Apps aren't updated as quickly. As I mentioned, Waze is available on Windows Phone 8. However, it looks like version 2.0, like it's very rudimentary, and comparing that to the Android or even the iOS version, there is a lot that it's missing. So really, again, it comes down to the developers. The OK Google command, as I just activated on my phone, is so handy, especially with my day job. I drive so much that from a safety standpoint, I can just say that phrase and I don't have to touch my phone, and it does a lot of tasks for me just by voice. Cortana, as great as it is, at this moment in time, doesn't have that functionality. And you can probably download an app to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't find one that was worth its salt at its moment. But back in the day, before we had Google Now, we had tons of clones on Android that were pretty good. So it's just really up to the developers once again. So in conclusion, if you're brand new to the smartphone world, the Samsung Galaxy A SE not only is fairly inexpensive, but it's going to be a great experience. Now, mind you, I ran it with the developer preview of Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. It actually stock comes with Windows Phone 8. So some of those things that I mentioned, you're not going to get unless you do the developer preview or just wait for Samsung and Verizon to push the update. And unfortunately, because there's not a lot of fanfare for this particular Windows Phone device, I don't think we'll see any of those updates coming anytime soon. However, currently exclusive to Verizon here in the United States is the new HTC One M8 with Windows, which actually comes with, in stock, Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1. So you don't have to do any kind of developer hacks or tricks or anything. It's going to include everything that I mentioned. So go to your local store, check that out, and compare that to the Android variant. But if you're a new user, Windows Phone is a really great operating system. From a Android user point of view, the Google apps, if you really need those, I wouldn't leave Android. But if you can find alternatives, as I mentioned, the Microsoft ecosystem with Live.com, with Outlook, with OneDrive, with Xbox Music, video, books, media, all of that, with the Smart Glass connection to your Xbox One or to your Windows 8 computer, all that is really seamless and very, very useful. But if you find yourself just going back to Google, it might be a little difficult for you to transition into Microsoft's ecosystem as well, or maybe have both. The battery life is way better, way better. I was almost a day and a third of the Samsung 8 SE, whereas even on my Note, I was having to charge my phone the night of. And I use the 8 just as much as I use the Note with music, podcasting, and even Waze GPS. The Windows Phone App Store obviously isn't as big or vast or notable as the Android or iOS App Store, but this operating system really just came out in 2012 if we're talking about really kind of gaining some ground, and it's just going to get better and bigger as time moves on. And another really cool thing is that Microsoft as a company is doing harder to vet and make sure that the apps that are in their App Store aren't clones, aren't fake, aren't malicious, and some of the apps even give you a trial period before you buy, which is unique to Windows Phone, or rather the whole Windows ecosystem. So that's really cool. What this comes down to, at least from my standpoint, because I use Chromecast so much, I can't use Windows Phone as my daily driver. I can't. I really want to because I have Windows 8 on 3 of my computers at home. I really don't mind the Microsoft ecosystem, but I've been so invested into the Chromecast, and if I in the future get a TV with Google or rather Android TV support, again, Android TV is probably not going to be supported by Windows, and I'm really hoping that Microsoft and Google really figure something out. So as a phone, this is great. As an operating system, it's perfect. It's just not for me. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments or questions in the section below here on YouTube. LazyTech TV is our channel. Or you can find us at LazyTechGuys.com. Hit us up on Twitter, LazyTechGuys. Or better yet, we are all on Google+, and that is really the main area where we have most of our posts, our podcasts, our netcasts. But if you still use Facebook, we're on there too. You can call us at 707-722-5299, or you can even email us if you're old school at comments@LazyTechGuys.com. You guys take care. We'll talk to you later.